What's up, everybody? Bootsy Greenwood here. I'm sitting in front of a bunch of books, but this one is my favorite. Today I want to talk to you about quantum jumping and the myth and maybe the reality of quantum jumping. I got a cool message from a friend. He said, "Hey man, you're really putting the reality in reality transurfing." And I love that. I really appreciated that message. That means a lot to me. That is kind of what I'm trying to do, okay? I want these esoteric ideas to come down to earth. I think they're very usable. I think they're very applicable. And I think that we can leverage them to get better lives. And instead of fighting over contentious words that don't really accurately define anything, we can instead use the principles that we've noticed, the patterns in reality, to put ourselves in a different and a better experience and a better lifeline, we can quantum jump and be in a place that we're happier to be in, a better, more fulfilling life for ourselves and for other people. The whole point of this book is to find your true goal and to live your true goal. It's not to change the world. It's not to change systems. It's to navigate what exists in reality to the best of your ability and to be able to create for yourself a life that you enjoy living, frankly, right? Like, it's pretty simple. So I want to talk about this idea of quantum jumping. You're going to see people all over YouTube talking about quantum jumping to your reality and skipping timelines and all this kind of stuff. And I think there is some truth to it. I'm not trying to demean anyone who's teaching this stuff, because I think it can be very valuable and it can help you frame and see how you're moving in reality, as opposed to simply just sucking down some woo-woo manifestation nonsense, which there's frankly plenty of. There's plenty of out there. Now, I do believe that there are people who have some pretty amazing gifts, talents, specialties, etc. I've worked with them myself, and I've been pretty amazed, to be honest with you. But that's not what I do. What I do is I help to unpack these concepts that are pretty esoteric and far out and put them in a simple framework so that you can actively use them in real life. So instead of, casting a bunch of spells and saying things, playing records backwards or whatever to jump timelines, instead let's talk about what that actually means. Because you can jump timelines, meaning you can live in a different reality, and you will actively see reality change and shift right before your very eyes when you start making different choices. When you start making different decisions. Decide means, in Latin, to cut away, okay? So when we make a choice, we're actually cutting away any of the other options and possibilities that we would have had instead. So every time we make a choice, we say yes to something and we say no to everything else. And the thing about it is, a choice is very binary. We're choosing this or we're choosing that. So there's a timeline where I make this video. There's a timeline where I get upset because of a text that I got and I don't make this video. I instead, ruminate on this text that I got and get really upset. Maybe I say some mean things back and get into an altercation or just demean myself and make myself look dumb or stupid. But instead, maybe I say, you know what? I'm gonna shift my attention from that. I'm gonna cut that away. And I'm going to focus on doing something productive, something constructive, and try to give some value, give some insight, give some knowledge away based on what my experience and expertise is, which is reading this book dozens and dozens of times. I've read it so many times. But what I am more interested in than anything else is the idea of choice and quantum jumping in this video, okay? So quantum jumping is, I'm at this lifeline, but I want to go to this lifeline. We've discussed this. Infinite lifelines exist, okay? But what we really want to do is focus on the character that we are, and the more that we do that, the more the reflection in the mirror is going to change, and then we're going to actively level up into that lifeline that we ultimately want to be in. Now, I want to talk about something very important that I've talked about a lot on this channel, and that's the idea of pendulums. Pendulums are energetic informational structures. So that text that I got, that is potentially a whole entire argument and a bunch of emotion and a bunch of anger and a bunch of stress and a bunch of anxiety, and that's a pendulum, okay? There are macro pendulums like groups, governments, entities like that, and then there are micro pendulums like people pissing you off, someone cutting you off in traffic. And one thing that Jesus says in the Bible is in the Beatitudes, he's like, if your nose offends you, cut it off. If your hand offends you, cut it off. Now, I never understood that until I read this book, because essentially what Jesus was saying is that if there's a pendulum, if you have an opportunity to choose between this or that, and there's a choice that is favorable and desirable for you, and then there's a choice that brings you down into the mud and gets you upset and gives you bad emotions and puts you in a loop of negativity, then cut it off. Don't entertain that. Don't roll around in a pig because a pig in shit with a pig because a pig loves shit. So if you don't engage with that, you're not in the mud, you're not rolling around in it. So as we have the opportunity to choose, and in every moment we truly do, you have as many choices as you could possibly think of in every single moment, every single day. And the way that we react and the way that we respond to things is the choice that we make. So in order to quantum jump, we want to make continuously favorable choices for ourselves up the ladder of choice into a more favorable timeline that we prefer, okay? And that's what quantum jumping or reality shifting is. It doesn't mean just letting everything happen to you and being a good spiritual bypasser, okay? It doesn't mean being bullied and being taken advantage of and not having boundaries. But it also doesn't mean engaging and fighting against things that are a waste of your time, trying to change the world, trying to change systems that are going to exist whether you do or not. Instead, using your energy to actively focus on your goal and make decisions to your highest potential and the version of yourself that you want to become. Because the more that you fight against systems, if it's a conspiracy or the people that run the world or the people that own this platform or whatever, ask me how I know, the more you're spinning your wheels and wasting your time. This model is not about changing the world. There's only one real way to change the world, and that's to change your layer of it by making proper choices that are beneficial for you to the point where you go up onto another timeline and become that person that you know which you are capable of. The type of person that is not going to get offended or freaked out because they got a bad text, or whatever. I'm just using that as an example of my personal life because, well, I don't always crush it. We all make mistakes, you know what I'm saying? And so whatever. So I'm not going to involve myself in that whole thing. Instead, I'm going to shift and I'm going to choose a better path, a more productive path. And that doesn't mean anything derogatory to anyone else. It just means that I'm going to choose to focus on myself and my highest, best choice in this moment that I can do. This is what I think that is. So I'm going to actively do that. I'm going to take right action, as it might say in the Bhagavad Gita. So I hope that clarifies a little bit about quantum jumping or quantum shifting or shifting timelines or jumping timelines. Because it's not like you literally just like wake up and then you're in another reality just like that. That's not how it works. I guess it can, but I've never experienced that. Maybe some people have. But even if that were the case, breakthroughs where you would find yourself on a higher timeline, let's say overnight, let's say that is a possibility. The only way to do that is to make small incremental choices over time. And then maybe you do jump up. Maybe you do get a boost, a plus 10 or something. And then all of a sudden, you're in a higher, better frame. But the only way that that's going to happen is if you learn to make better, smaller choices over time, as opposed to trying to make one big choice that's going to do it all for you. That's never going to happen. We want to actively see where we are in reality, be present enough and aware enough to see where that is and accept that, and then make the decisions and the choices that we can make in order to get to our most, I would say, desirable timeline. And so that's inch by inch, very shortly going to take us to that higher version of ourselves. And that higher version of ourselves is obviously going to have a lot more accoutrement in the reality that they are in, because they are reflecting their own image toward the mirror, and the mirror reflects back what they are projecting. So I hope that is helpful. I hope it makes sense. Read this book. Read it. Buy it. I have a summary. You can check that out if you want a shortcut. Comment below and I will send you resources. Comment below and I'll load you up with goodies. And if this model is for you, it's something that you like, you want to learn it, you want to leverage the ideas in this model to make you have a better life, I have an offer for you. And so we can talk about that. But first, I recommend dipping a toe, making sure that it actually does suit you, because it's really not for everybody. Let's be real, okay? Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe to this channel. Share this video out if you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up, like it, and subscribe and all that. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace.